first name is Fair. Fair. So when I was a kid in school, the guys would say, watch out, I'm bad.
30-day notice.
Oh, did you get moved? I didn't even notice. Yeah, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
That's what you're still in between.
That's right. That's right. That was it.
Settle down here, just gets me in trouble.
Yeah, well, that might be. Stop here.
She is taking pictures. That's not fair.
Got a big group, I don't zero in on anybody.
Today? That's what I thought. Wiser, right?
Were we supposed to get wiser? Forgot about that. Morning. Oh, well. That was nice of you to send me that.
That was.
No, that's not.
I don't know if we're supposed to answer that or not, but I couldn't help it. You got to answer back. I'm very impressive. So,
Right.
Yep.
All right, go ahead and call the meeting to order. You can stand for the pledge, followed by a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You. Go ahead. Turn the mic on. Want everybody to turn their mic on. Go ahead with the roll call.
Commissioner Robbins, Commissioner Walter,
Here.
Commissioner Bunnick,
Present.
Commissioner Wessel,
Here.
Commissioner Campbell,
You're in present.
Commissioner Algier,
Here.
Chairman Yoder.
Here.
All present.
Thank you. Next up, we have public comments. You have 3 minutes to address the board with anything that's agenda specific. Yes, sir.
I'm Steve Gilbreth. I'm from Leelanau Township. Ty is my great representative. And I just want to say I appreciate everything you guys have done. Congratulations on getting a budget passed 7-0. It used to always be at least 1 or 2 negative. So congratulations on that. And most importantly, I'd like to congratulate Jim on a wonderful job he's done this year. And he's had some headwinds. I'd say it's more like a little bit of a breeze. But so Jim, congratulations.
Hey, Bill.
Bill Wiesner, Elmwood Township, and I'm speaking on action item 8, 2026 goals discussion. And what I would encourage you all to do is #1 priority is fix the elections. 62% of people heard it over and over. In a Rasmussen poll, do not think that fraud determined the election. This book, Stolen Elections, is just full of references to how the elections are stolen. My handout for later today is along the lines of that goal also. This Democrat in Georgia, she got 24% of the vote, but there were lots of precincts where she didn't get any votes, especially her own precinct. That one is seriously problematic. Tina Peters is in jail. And it's hard to not notice that everybody's looking down at their papers, organizing other things. Most everybody, but I'll just say, this is the number one issue. If we don't fix this issue, and it's easy to do, I've got my sign back there showing it's cheaper, it's less money to do also. And the clerks did a wonderful job on the ranked choice voting, a good way to really confuse the elections and have everything fall apart, and saying that nothing's worthwhile if you don't have 51% of the vote. 49% is not going to work. 50, 51, oh, that's just fine. It's to confuse things. They stood up wonderfully and pushed back on that. We need to do the same thing on these elections. There's evidence of fraud everywhere. Tina Peters is in jail, a 70-year-old woman. She's the one that backed up the files. No one else, well, one other person in Colorado, I think, did do that. But did we do that in Michigan? And why not if we didn't? Those records are supposed to be saved for, what is it? 3.5 years, 4 years, I forget. I got so many numbers in my head. But this is number one. Do it like the clerks did. Stand up, make a difference. Don't fight against this. Fight for it like the clerks. Get out ahead of it. Thank you for your work, and thank you for your consideration on this. This is the most important. Thank you.
Public comment? Yes, Mr. Minkowski?
Good morning. Happy New Year. We are bursting into the new year to what we presume to be provide us the best governance possible for the year 2026. And that is to provide us with the best possible, least cost Republican form of limited government. You have an oversight function, which includes a fiduciary duty. Our 36 years of attending most of these meetings, we want to address an issue regarding subjects 7 and 8. Those are the strategic planning and goals and discussion. This area should only be focusing on what is required in Michigan law, MCL 46.11. Over the years, the commissions have wandered and doing all kinds of things and self-initiating projects, millages and everything else without the public's lawful petitioning for. In other words, county commissioners initiated almost every project without a demand from the people via a petition. In other words, it also means that commissioners have believed themselves to be omniscient and omnipotent and doing things for the people that they didn't want, and the things that commissioners did do did not benefit the majority of the people. So we were saying that this commission should focus on those 46.11 items only, and only those messes that have been created by commissioners over many years that have been very costly to taxpayers. And finally, as you discussed the strategies and the other areas that the commission must address the necessary needed apology to the clerk and the taxpayers for their clerk loading decision of May 11, 2021. Thank you.
Public comment? All right. We're on to commissioner comments. Mr. Wessel?
Yeah, I want to make one, and I wrote myself some notes because we all received an email from Commissioner Campbell last week on today's meeting. And among other concerns, Commissioner Campbell referenced setting a poor precedent by including a previously discussed agenda item at today's organizational meeting. In two different meetings, the administrator had suggested that he was going to have a presentation, not action, a presentation on the healthcare plan. And one commissioner sends an email, and we take that off the agenda, and we schedule a special meeting on this Friday. So that I can be clear about my concerns, I've written them down. I would like to go on record as disagreeing with the email that we all received from Commissioner Campbell, forwarded by the clerk's office on 1/2. Administrator Dyer communicated to us at least two different occasions that he has scheduled two presentations on healthcare for our organizational session. Healthcare costs are probably our biggest financial issue for 2026, and we all need the background information in order to make responsible decisions. I welcome the presentations, and there were no concerns expressed by commissioners when the administrator announced that decision. No board rules precluded such a presentation, and I do not understand Commissioner Campbell's objections. I believe that the projections of cost for healthcare provided in our original budget assumptions were unrealistic, and we need more information. Second guessing the administrator scheduling this issue without discussion when announced at prior board meetings caused a change in our agenda based on one commissioner's concerns. In addition, the change in the agenda will necessitate an additional meeting. In a board of 7 commissioners, changing of the agenda a few days before a meeting on one commissioner's personal concern gives too much influence to a single commissioner and takes away our administrator's ability to provide us with necessary information. I am sorry today that we do not have the opportunity to receive important information. I remain concerned about the apparent underestimation of the healthcare cost in our expense projections that we received in our finance director's projects at the beginning of the summer budget process, and disappointed that the elimination from today's agenda causes a further delay in receiving the information that we so desperately need. Thank you.
I'd like to agree, and actually this new meeting interrupts an important meeting I had scheduled for about 3 months. But in addition, perhaps at an organizational meeting, it's important for us to remember what the first act of the Leelanau County Board was in 1863 or 4. When the board was first constituted. And the first act of this board was to care for the people. Was to put our money, our funds together. And $5,000, which was a lot of money back then, was allocated to care for the injured, the widows, the children of Civil War soldiers and veterans. We did that. We had 3 supervisors. We had supervisors of the poor. So at every meeting until Social Security and social programs were created in the 1920s or 30s, the first order of business for every meeting was the reports of the supervisors of the poor on needy people in our county. And the board then acted to help them. They helped prepare farm equipment. They provided food. They helped widows clothe their children. So this county has been working together, combining our resources since its onset to reach out and help those less fortunate. We had a poor farm. We provided housing and sustenance. So I encourage us to remember that legacy. That legacy says we care about our people all of us, not just us. We act for all of you to care for the people and the children and the elderly in this county. That is an important, significant legacy that we must always remember.
Any other question, comments? Mike?
Yeah, so I liked what Mr. Mikowski said, and we want to have the best possible least cost government. You know, but I'm also wondering what's happened, and I'm hoping the administrator can answer these, what's happening with our auditors, with the poor barn as far as that contract. You know, have cameras ever been ordered? And, you know, I just want to make sure that we're not paying for something that we have not authorized. And has there been any decision about the Miles Kimberly property? And what about the policy tracking software? And that coding project that we have. I'm just wondering what's happening with those things. I haven't heard much about them since we discussed it here.
Answer those couple questions.
Give me the list again.
Well, I mean, I thought we were gonna have our auditors in place by now. You know, I don't know how that contract is coming. I haven't heard anything or seen it here. The poor barn, there was supposed to be some kind of contract that's supposed to go forward with that, I believe.
Let me address them one at a time.
Okay.
Yes, we had a meeting yesterday with our auditors. They're actually starting work right now. You approved the contract. We're working out the details. There are some, you'll recall during their interview, there were portions of the RFP that they didn't respond to, so we're working through that. We had a good meeting with them yesterday, and I think we're completely on the road to having that contract finalized. There were a couple of changes that they agreed to make that primarily related to the obligation that the county board has undertaken to prepare the audit for the road commission, how we actually deal with that. But we're on the road having that finalized. What was the next item?
Well, I mean, concerning that, I mean, if there have been changes, it should really be brought back to the board for us to see the changes, to see what's happening and make a decision. I mean, we did authorize you to negotiate and to do it, but if it gets changed from what was presented, then I do think it has to come back to the board to be approved.
Your motion authorized the chair to sign the contract that was acceptable.
Right, but if it's been changed, like you said, there were changes, you know, that we didn't authorize changes.
I'm not sure what you're talking about.
So I don't know. You said that there were changes, there were things added, and
You authorized the contract approved by legal counsel up to $70,000 in the first year. And there's no deviations from that. If that's what there's no deviations from the board authorized motion. If that's what you're concerned.
yeah, well, I mean, that is my concern because, I mean, I've heard there were changes and we did not see them and I think we should. I guess that's what I believe. And the next item then would be the poor barn. I know that I thought we talked about that was going to come back. There'd be a contract on that and that's going to come back to us.
Yes, it will.
You know, then I was just wondering, it was brought to us about the cameras and we did not authorize it. I just want to make sure that no cameras are being
I'm not
pushed
sure
in the
what
county.
cameras you're talking about.
The ones for the sheriff wants to put out.
Yeah, that you rejected that. There's been no further action taken on.
Good. And then on the there's the software that I think we authorized as far as organizing our policies. Is that, I mean, has that been put into place or started or anything?
The contract's been signed, we're working on getting that put into place. Yes. We approved it, the contract's been signed, and we're working on getting that in place. It hasn't been installed or anything like that yet.
Well, I mean, I guess I would like to hear about these things as they're going on and that, and because I get concerned about them, because I don't hear anything, I'm not sure if it's happening or not. So, thank you for this.
Any other commissioner comments? Commissioner
I
Campbell?
only speak in reply to my esteemed colleague. Speak up, please. Yeah. I did send a letter with my thoughts to the county board chair. If you look at our board rules for establishment of meetings, it calls for releasing, sending out the proposed agenda. And this is in our board rules. And then for commissioners to review it. And the review is to provide input, and then it comes back. I myself don't have any authority to take anything off. I assume I presented a pretty good discussion point because it got moved. And my discussion point was not that this was not an important topic. You'll find that it was exactly the opposite. My discussion point was, I think this is such an important topic that we should handle it by itself rather than mixed in with what I assume is going to be an entertaining and thoughtful discussion on our long-term goals. On we have here strategic planning. My point was, this is really important. I made my point according to the board rules. I have no authority to change the agenda. So if there is to be if there is to be disgruntlement, I'm not sure that they should be directed at me. I'll be glad I got big shoulders, I'll take it. But I didn't change the agenda. I just brought forth a discussion point that said maybe this is better handled by itself. And apparently that's what's going to happen. Thank you.
Mr. Robbins, you had your hand up as well.
Sure, I'm gonna go a different route. It's a new year, welcome back. We got our first full year with our administrator. Looking forward to that. I want to thank our people, our employees, that is, that over the holidays worked the storms at 24-hour, 7 people. Did a great job. The county roads did a great job. Sometimes I think we forget as a board, we're not the main focal point here. It's the 130 people that work here. They're on the front line. They make this county what it is, not us, and we got to remember that. And I'm expecting a great year here, and let's all work together.
Any other commissioner comments? All right. Not, we'll go on to agenda additions or deletions. Any additions or deletions to the agenda? Not. This agenda has already been approved, or no, we need a motion to approve.
Yep,
correct?
that's the next on the agenda. Yep.
You have a motion? Mr. Bunny,
I move to approve the agenda as presented.
moved and supported, discussion? Not, all in favor of that motion, say aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. Motion carried 7-0. Oh, I see the approval agenda. Wow, it's a little different than our previous meeting. So next up is action items. Election of vice chairman. What other?
I would move to appoint Commissioner Wilson as vice chair for 2026.
Mr. Bunny,
Yeah, I'd make a motion to make Mark Walters as vice chair.
any other nominations? Any other nominations?
I move nominations be closed.
All right. Nominations are closed. All right, you can go ahead with roll call. on vice chair, so it's my understanding, the roll call will be go through and just, I'll start that in or whatever by the clerks. Yep, and just state the name as to who you vote for.
Commissioner Alguier,
Commissioner Whistle.
Commissioner Bunnick,
Commissioner Walter.
Commissioner Campbell,
Commissioner Waller.
Commissioner Robbins,
Commissioner Wessel.
Commissioner Walter,
Commissioner Walter.
Commissioner Wessel,
Commissioner Wessel.
Chairman Yoder.
Commissioner Walter.
Uh, 4-3, Walter.
All right. Next up, we have approved the 2026 rules of order and procedure. Commissioner Bunnick?
Yeah, I have a couple of, just corrections in it before we approve them. Yeah, and Article 4, number 8, it actually should be 9:30 to 2:30 instead of 9 to 2. And Article 5B, it should be 3 minutes or longer instead of 5 minutes or longer for the, for our public comment. And then in Article 6, and it's in several of them, it had G1, it has person, and I think it should be persons, because it's talking about 2 different people. Those are the 3 changes that I had. I can go over them again. I wrote them down and
Yeah, if you could maybe repeat them, that would be,
sure.
that would be helpful.
In Article 4, number 8, it talks about the public comment. Or I mean, it talks about our meetings being 5 hours long maximum, and it says from 9 to 2, and I say change it to, right, we should change it to 9:30 to 2:30. Then in Article 5D, it says 5 minutes or longer for public comment. I'm saying 3 minutes or longer, because we have 3 minutes at the beginning and then 5 minutes at the end. So so we're doing what our policy says. And then Article 6, G1, and it's actually in several things where we have a person and then we name 2 different people. So I'm just saying change it to persons. It's not a, they're just, minor changes. So I would move to approve them as amended. Yeah, go ahead.
I would like to add to our meetings as an agenda.
We had a motion. Are you taking that back?
Well, it wasn't seconded, so.
Okay, so you're okay with that? No.
Well, I would like to add, after the agenda is approved.
Okay, but I'm gonna stop you right. Commissioner Bunning, are you finished with your recommendations before I move on, or?
Well, I was just gonna make a motion that it be approved as amended.
Okay.
That wasn't.
Before we.
But yeah,
Do we have a second for that, just so we're clean here?
Well,
No? Okay, so then that falls
So
off.
it
Okay,
falls.
so Commissioner Campbell,
I just, would be nice to do it in one.
I understand, yeah, I just wanted to make
I
sure.
wanted to add something on conflict of interest, which would go after, after approval of agenda. And it would say declarations of conflict of interest by commissioners and other Leelanau County officials participating in agenda-specific topics. Someone got a better idea for that, you could just say declarations of conflict of interest and simplify it. But I think it's very important that we include that. And it is included in some of our other boards and commissions agendas and townships too. So just as long as it pauses the meeting and gives people opportunity.
We don't have to do all of these in one motion.
Well, what would be what do you think for a system?
I think it'd be wise to have a motion and then go through the amendments, so it's cleaner, so we can vote on each one individually. That's what I would recommend, just so it's cleaner. But
Yeah, it needs to be clear.
Okay.
So I guess what I'd like is a motion to adopt it as presented and then go through the amendments to keep it cleaner in that sense.
Well,
Mr. Walter?
we can't adopt it as presented and then change it. So if we're going to make a motion, the motion that Will made is, makes sense. It shows his concerns in it. Let's vote on that. And then if somebody else has something they want to add.
I'm okay with that, but yeah, I'd like a motion at least to be on the floor, then we can go through amendments and have a vote on each individual amendment type of thing. I just think it would be cleaner than amending everything and then having to go back and change it. If commissioners are not in favor, Mr. Wessel?
I'm confused then, because if we approve the motion that Commissioner Bonnet has advanced, we've approved the rule. And I don't, we're approving just the change you proposed, but not the rules.
So you'd rather go through each commissioner here and address each commissioner by vote, their suggestion? I'm just trying to keep it clean here.
So my problem is that I was going to address one of the corrections. So I appreciate the corrections you made. They're just corrections.
I just like something on the table so we can go through it and have a cleaner document instead of, so we can each individual amendment type of thing rather than one big document. See, the clerk has her hand up.
Last year, it appears that Commissioner Bunnick stated his changes that he would like reflect as a whole. And then you individually did a motion for each one of his changes.
Okay, there we go.
And then at the end, if there's no further changes, it is board's rules are adopted as amended. So it would be each, you stated your three, and then last year we separated each one, and then that way they could be discussion on each one.
Let's continue that. That way it's cleaner. So, Mr. Bunny, if you want to make that motion to adopt those changes that you've requested, we can vote on that and then move on through each individual change.
So I would make the motion to adopt the three items that I mentioned as far as the articles go.
All right, is there support?
Support.
Moved and supported. Discussion.
This is to approve,
Just the changes on it before we.
so we're gonna do all the amendments first.
Correct. And
Yeah.
just the changes that
The whole
Commissioner
thing
Bunny
at
brought forward, we'll vote on that and then we'll go through each individual commissioner's changes that
If
request.
it's correcting the document,
Right.
I
Well,
can
if-
support that. But I want to comment and I want to change one of those things. So I can't support it now.
But you can,
You can,
Speak,
we
yeah.
got discussion now, so.
Yeah.
Well,
Change it.
I'd like to propose that for the first public comment, we allow 1 minute in addition to the 3 agenda specific, that we add 1 minute of something
General
related to county business, but not specifically on the agenda.
Okay, so is that what you're amending to his?
Yes, like,
But that's
But
not
we'd
necessarily
already
what
had
you
an
addressed though, is
amendment.
it?
well, he said change it to 3 minutes, so I'm saying 3 and 1.
Hang on, let Commissioner Bunny explain here.
Okay, if we go to, let me just go through, if you go to Article 4, number 8. Okay, it states, we have the meetings within a 5 minute, let me read the whole thing. It is the goal of the Board of Commissioners to complete the executive board meeting within a 5-hour period or less. And it has 9 AM to 2 PM. So I'm saying just change that to 9:30 to 2:30. Okay, because that's what we do. All right. Then if I go to Article 5D, if you're following it. I'm just reading this. Members of the public may address the executive board and other committees for up to 5 minutes per person or longer at the discretion of the chairperson, after they identify themselves and are recognized by the chairperson. So I'm saying that we should change that part to 3 minutes, 3 minutes or longer, only because that's what we do at the executive and regular meetings. We have a 3 minute, then we have a 5 minute. So it's just to clarify what we do.
Yes,
No,
so
you-
I agree, we need to correct.
Chair,
the
point of
document.
order. Once a new year, we gotta start raising our hands.
I don't understand. So let Commissioner Bunny go through his entire list here and then we can make comments based on that.
Okay, that's what I just thought, we just changed that to 3 minutes. And not anything else in the sentence. Then to go to Article 6. And it's G1.
Do you have a page?
Page 14, I believe, correct, on the document?
Right.
Yeah. Yes, 14 of 15. So in there, it just says at the, says, any motion made with the permission of the person who moved and seconded it be withdrawn at any time before it has been adopted. So it says the permission of the person who moved and seconded. Well, that's actually persons. It's actually two people. Somebody made the motion, somebody, so I'm just saying, change the word, just put an S on the end of that. And so the sentence recognize that it's two different people. And those were the changes then. I mean, they're nothing drastic, but just trying to correct.
So a clarification on the item number 2 that you recommended about 5 minutes. Is that referring to public comment at the beginning or the end?
It refers to any public comment. It can be 3 minutes or longer.
I think it says executive board though.
But it does say executive board.
Yeah, it says executive.
So do we need to clarify that for all meetings, I guess?
Because right now we have 3 in the beginning, 5 in the end. So I'm just trying to clarify which one you're referring. So, but you're saying 3 in the beginning and 3 in the end.
Yeah, it says here, every committee shall provide an opportunity for the public to be heard. Members of the public may address the executive board of commissioners and other committees for up to 5 minutes
So it
at the
doesn't.
discretion of the chairperson. So I think that this was in relation to if you would extend it, you only got to extend it from 3 to 5. I think that's what it's saying versus that it's automatically 3. So if you change it to 3,
Yeah.
that's how I'm interpreting it. Does that
what
make
you're
sense?
requesting?
Well, yeah, I'm just saying that's what, I'm just trying to have it put in what we do, not say something different than what we're actually doing. And it says we would do 5 minutes at the executive, we'd only do 3 really at the beginning. So, but it says or longer, and it says for other committees, so we do it at every one, so I think that's all included. I don't know why it specifically says executive, but
You're right, we do 3 at all.
So
right.
Can I just ask, do we handle these, and I think I can make a point of order and say, can we handle these individually?
So you want to handle Commissioner Bunnick's 3 individuals, one
No,
by each vote?
one at a time.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
So what your first change is
9:30 to 2:30.
9:30 to 2:30. All right. You have a
Anybody
motion
object
for that.
Okay,
That
so,
would make the
We're not
motion.
making that club.
so are you just separating the question then?
Yeah, we're just
Okay,
pretty much
so I don't
separating
have
the
to hold, do
question.
the whole
Yep.
thing. Okay, separate the question.
Okay, I approve, I
right.
second that.
Okay.
Well, we already have a second. So we got discussion on the first change, which is 9:30 to 2:30.
Vote
Is
on
there discussion on that?
Oh, I thought we were gonna vote.
it. Yeah.
We are.
You are.
Oh, yeah.
Is there discussion on that? If not, all in favor of that change, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carries 7-0. Now your second change.
So the second change, I'm gonna go back to Article 5. And I'm gonna read the sentence and see what they say. 5B. Okay, it's the last sentence of B, and it says, every committee shall provide an opportunity for the public to be heard. Members of the public may address the executive board commission and other committees for up to 5 minutes per person or longer at the discretion of the chairperson, after they identify themselves and are recognized by that chairperson. So what I'm saying is that members of the public may address the executive board of commissioners and other committees for up to 3 minutes per person or longer at the discretion of the chairperson after they identify themselves and are recognized by the chairperson. Support.
That's for the first,
We
Yeah, we
don't,
already have
okay,
support.
hang on, we don't need a support on that because we're just splitting the question.
Yeah.
So discussion on that specific amendment.
this is for the first public comment?
It's for any public comment. It could be 3 minutes or longer.
At the beginning.
It's
No,
any,
it's leaving it open to any right now, from my understanding, so.
Oh, you're opening up the beginning of public comment to anything, or this?
No, that's not, he's stating it, right now we have on our agenda is 3 minutes at the first public comment, 5 minutes at the end public comment. What he's amending it to is just 3 minutes at the beginning and 3 minutes at the end. Am I correct on that?
no,
No,
it's 3 minutes and
Okay.
it doesn't change anything on our meetings. It just changes the wording in here
oh,
that
okay,
it can be 3 minutes or longer.
but it's still
Because
meant.
we do one at 3 and we do one at 5, so that all stays the same.
Addressing that.
All
Yeah,
I'm
so-
saying is that let's recognize that we do the first one at 3 minutes, and that's what this would do.
Okay. Mr. Walter?
And that would align it to D, 6D, what it says, that we'll do 3 minutes at the beginning and 5 minutes at the end. Because that's what's written in the next order. So that aligns both 5 and 6 to say the same thing.
Okay. Mr. Algar?
I'm wondering why we're saying or longer.
Because he can give permission.
Give us discretion to the chair instead of cutting it off at 3.
So would people be open to adding 1 minute of,
That would be a separate amendment. We're just addressing this question right here to clean up that language, yes. That could be discussed later.
okay,
Any other discussion on that? Mr.
There is
Bell?
a part I can't find right now that does give you that authority further into these, but if you want to include it in the upper part, that's fine, but I think according to what we have, you already have that authority. I just didn't write down the numbers, so, and, but it's fine if you want to put it out there.
Any other discussion? Not all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carried 7-0. And now your third change.
I'll go down to Article 6. It says, any motion made with the permission of the person who moved and seconded it be withdrawn at any time before it has been adopted. So I'm just saying, permission of the persons who moved and adopted it. Second one for me.
Yep. All right, discussion on that. Not all in favor of that change, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carried 7-0. Now we're through commissioner changes. Now any other changes? And I believe Commissioner Campbell, you had a,
Yeah, a moment, part of the agenda dedicated to allowing for the declaration of conflicts of interest by commissioners or county, by commissioners and county officials. For agenda, I did write something, it would say a declaration of conflict of interest by commissioners and other Leelanau County officials participating in agenda-specific topics. So I'll read it again. Declarations, so this would be an agenda item. Declarations of conflict of interest by commissioners and other Leelanau County officials participating in agenda-specific topics. That's not, I didn't talk to you. Am I missing something?
No, it's just it's difficult. I think what you're trying to do is to include a declaration of conflict of interest by other than commissioners. And that's a difficult, because they're not voting, so they don't have any sort of conflict of interest. But I think what you're trying to get at is, if they have an interest in the item under discussion, they need to disclose that fact.
Mhm.
So it's no. And that, I don't think that's a problem, but I don't know that I would call it a conflict of interest, it's just disclosure of you know, an interest in the topic. Because it would be a conflict of interest as defined by the issue. You're not voting, you're not voting. Nothing that.
I think this moves in the direction that we are headed. And I think most folks understand conflict of interest in their own minds. And we're, as you know, as we're working together, we're working towards actually defining that and making it more objective. But for now, and it's kind of a placeholder till we finalize our work.
The only thing I would add is you should specify the changes would be to Article 6D, the order of business, the 3 agendas that are set out there. And so we know exactly what it is that we need to change when it's reconstituted.
Yeah, my thought was after you approve the agenda, so you know for sure what's gonna be on the agenda.
So under, so you'd add right after, that would be D1, D1E. You'd add it right after there, after 2F, and after 3. There's no approval of agenda on the special assessment.
Special meetings.
So you probably ought to have it add under 3D, approval of agenda and your conflicts.
So are you,
Hang on, we gotta let Commissioner Campbell finish his
No, I
motion, then
think
we
I'm
need a
done.
second.
Yeah, I'm open, very open.
All right, so now we need a second for that.
Support.
Moved and supported, discussion.
does that include, that includes us, right?
Yeah, commissioners and. Which means if the treasurer had a report or the registered deeds had a report and they had a conflict within it, that would be their opportunity to state that. So everyone knew it going into this.
Commissioner Bunny,
Yeah, I mean, I think I understand what he's getting at, but it's really our meeting about whether we have conflicts or not. I don't know what's about the public who has. I mean, you know, the one,
Not public,
well,
public officials,
just public officials.
yes.
Maybe say
Or
that.
county public
Say
officials,
county,
that makes, yeah, I'm not sure if that's how I.
Yeah, but I mean, our meeting is not about what they're doing out there. I mean, I'm not trying to think of how, well, the only one I can think of is when someone's asking for a grant and they're gonna be paid during the grant. Are they supposed to declare to us conflict of interest? I mean, and I just don't, I mean, I can see where we can put, you know, does anyone here have a conflict? And that's why it would be on our agenda, but otherwise for them out there, I don't see where that would be our responsibility. But it would really not belong in our meeting.
Well, and that's essentially what I was saying, but I think you're right, it wouldn't be a conflict of interest, but it would be something that may be important for you to know when you're voting. That the example you gave is a very good one, that the person that's seeking a grant will actually receive compensation from that grant. That it wouldn't be a conflict of interest, it would just be a statement of interest. Or a statement of involvement or something, you could come up with language that would encompass that. The whole idea, I think that Commissioner Campbell is getting at, that the problem is you don't really have a method or a protocol for somebody to make a declaration before that agenda item comes up.
Right.
That's a difficult thing to actually do, particularly if they're not, if they're a grant applicant, for example, and not a county employee.
The way I wrote it would be just county public officials.
all right, any other discussion on that? All right, I'll just add I understand where you're coming from with that motion. I feel like it goes a little too far. And creates some confusion, I guess. I'd rather, instead of having that I think I'd rather have a policy where our public officials would have to abide by that policy to disclose if they present something instead of having it on an agenda item. It's like Commissioner Bunning said, it's not their meeting. So, I'll be voting no on that just because I think it can be done better. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay.
Nay.
Motion fails 2-5. All right,
I'm done, Brian.
Would you want to consider just having a provision regarding declaration of conflict of interest for board members as an item in the agenda?
Yeah, I found it hard to understand why this would be too burdensome on public officials to state that they, if they were recommending a contract that was owned by their brother. I mean, to me, that is just as important as commissioners. So I'll, that's where I favored. If you guys want to change it, try to find you want to continue down that road, down a shorter road, I guess, not as inclusive, and have that.
all right, Commissioner Walter.
And I would say that would be an opportunity for board members to declare a conflict of interest, because that's all it should address is us. And, to say, this is our time to say if we've got a conflict of interest with anything on the agenda, just board members.
Yeah.
And then we've met a conflict of interest requirement, and that's it. That I move that we just put in there, board members will address a conflict of interest at this time, if they have any conflict of interest at this time.
Support discussion on that. Item. Commissioner Bunny?
Yeah, is that, are what you're talking about, putting it like, say, after additions or deletions to the agenda or something in our.
Right,
That's what you're talking about, and you just say, does anyone declare a conflict of interest?
right,
That's what you're
right.
asking to do.
Commissioner Bunny?
Yeah. I mean, the only time I remember the conflict of interest being brought up is when the clerk came to us and we were hiring someone for the court system. Because there were some changes, and she declared that it was her husband who had done this before and worked in Grand Traverse, and we were hiring him in the meantime. And she stated that right out and was very open about it, and so if it's not like that, she was just recommending it, but also made the thing, and I think that's what, was that what you?
That's where I was going, sure.
Yeah. And so, but there was no way for us to make that statement about a conflict. But I do like the idea that we just put it on here, and if any commissioner has a conflict, then we declare it at that time. And just say, is there any declaration? And I will put it before we have the agenda, if we're gonna do it, so that when it gets to that item, that commissioner would have to leave the room.
Or not a vote.
I'm just,
Or not vote, but
Not
usually they
partake
need
in
to.
conversation.
usually it's just not vote.
The reason I suggested afterwards is because of additions to the agenda and changes to the agenda.
Right.
If something was removed, you can do away with that. And then you have that in stone, so people know where the conflict may be.
It should be, the declaration should come after the approval of the agenda, as for the reasons that Commissioner Campbell states.
Any other discussion? Commissioner Bunny?
One more. Aren't we have an ad hoc committee that's meeting about this? And I would say that they should bring the recommendation to us rather than us deciding right here, right now. That's what I'm thinking, but that would be part of what they're discussing.
All you're really doing here, proposing here, is that you include this as an agenda item. You're not talking about what the consequences are. You're not talking, those are all the things that the committee is addressing. You're not talking about, you're just saying it's gonna be in this location on the agenda. And what I have is, it's in Article D, one, it's after item E, two, it's after item F. D3, it's after we add an approval of the agenda, and it'll occur after that item. That's what I have on, that was from Commissioner Campbell's motion. And if you're just amending the language that he was going to add to the agenda, you can keep those same locations and places that the changes would occur.
Any other discussion?
Could we read back the motion? Are you good with that, or?
All I have is declaration of conflict of interest will be added after the
Approval of agenda.
approval of agenda.
Yeah.
Could we add in Administrator Dyer's the one agenda is lacking approval of the agenda, and that, which is really just a cleanup thing, but
It depends, was it under special session where you saw that? So under special session, you can't change, you can remove, but there's nothing to
The
approve.
request for special session is the
Yes.
approval of your agenda.
That's correct.
Change it.
So that's why it's not listed in the board rules.
And that's why we don't bring anything else up except for.
What was approved, yeah.
Special assent.
It should be just declared somewhere else on there then. Yeah,
That would
special.
be after the roll call, I would suggest, item D.
So to that statement, conflict of interest among commissioners or by commissioners. Just to clarify that it's us doing it.
Well, it's our,
You're just saying conflict, declaration of conflict of interest. Now, when the committee that we're talking about that's defining conflict of interest policy, they would have a place in, you would have a place in the agenda where conflicts that need to be declared under that policy would be declared. That could even be the policy may apply to, probably will apply to county employees as well. They would have to make that declaration at that time. It could also apply to the example that Commissioner Bunning gave, where an elected official that really doesn't have any involvement, but they have in the item to be considered. They don't have any involvement, but they have an interest because, as Commissioner Bunning's example, the elected official had a relative that was going to be appointed to a position. And that would be the appropriate point to have that declaration occur in the agenda. That's all you're doing at this point, is putting a place in the agenda to have those issues occur.
Okay.
Any other discussion? All right. There being none, all in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Carried 7-0. Any other changes? Mr. Wessel?
Article 6. E1A. On page 12. I think we've got a little sloppy on this, and I'd like to move that we change the wording on A to read a county staff person or elected official with information report for the office is requested by the chair. If I, as a board member, want to ask a member of the public or a member of the staff a question, I ask the chair for that permission. That's my motion.
I second that.
I think it's on page 13 versus 12.
13.
Well, in my version, it does say 12, so there might
Oh, well, it's the packet is what I'm referring to, so that might make sense.
Packet,
In the packet, it's page 13.
that's Article 6,
Article 6, E1A.
but Article 6 starts on page 27 of my packet.
Well,
No.
I'm dealing with our document, Article 6. Find Article 6,
Okay.
conduct of regular meetings,
yeah,
All right,
and then go to section E of Article 6A.
E1. I got it.
Right.
Same thing.
Well, there's 4 bullet points and then it's under bullet point 4, which looks like.
yeah.
6E.
And then you're saying the sponsor of any properly moved second motion.
No, it'd be A,
No.
it's referring to A.
County staff
Under
person,
speaking priorities, number E, number 1, correct?
E1 down
And then
to
A.
A.
Yeah.
So if you
Oh.
wanted to call on me, you'd have to ask the chairman if you can ask me, county staff person or elected official.
Yeah. The information part is burning their off.
So we got to change. Is there support for that change?
Yes, also.
All right,
I didn't understand how it had changed.
all right.
Sorry for being so slow.
So I'll let Commissioner Wessel explain what exactly the change now that we have a
Instead
second.
of 7 commissioners reaching out to staff or the public, we try to maintain order by saying, Mr. Chair, could we ask the clerk, could we ask the treasurer? I just think it brings order and I think most of the time that's what we do. Rather than individual board members.
So mainly any member of the public recognized. Just, can you give me some wording to how that might work?
Well, and so if we're discussing something and I see the finance directors in the audience, instead of me asking the finance director, I would say, Mr. Chairman, could the finance director participate in this conversation and bring them in, and then we have orders, I'm gonna just saying, Kathy, what do you think? You know, we just can't bring anybody from the public into the conversation without approval of the chair, is what it does. It formalizes the process of recognizing somebody other than a board member in a discussion process. Which is the way it should be.
Yeah, I thought we were kind of following that, but I.
Well, no, not really. We pretty much say what we want to say and interrupt whenever we want to, myself included, but yes, that would be more professional. Now, whether we can ever enforce it the way we talk sometimes, we'll find out, but that is the civil way to do it. And
I just want to clarify, so Commissioner Wessel, under A, you'd like it to say a county staff person or elected official when information or report pertinent to their office is requested by a board member upon approval of the board chair?
That'd be fine. I just crossed out board member and put is requested by the chair. I think the chair is the official one that makes the request. But
But I meant, does that mean that, so you're stating that when reading this, that any board of commissioner could ask the chair then?
Right.
Because it says if requested by the board chair.
well, Mark said it better than I could, but if we're having a discussion and I want to ask the treasurer something, I'd say, Chairman Yoder, could we ask the question?
Shall be given the right to speak
Yes,
during
that
the
makes
board
sense.
Do you have that language?
No, because it says only members of the Board of Commissioners shall be given the right to speak during any board meeting except a county staff person or elected official when information or report pertinent to their office is requested by a board member. So
Through the chair.
that was my original, but that's what I'm asking. So
Is that okay if it's stated as
through
it's
the,
requested by a board member through the approval of the board chair?
Right.
Okay,
Yes.
no,
thank you. I just trying to,
understand, yep. Any other discussion on that? All right, if not, all in favor of that change, say aye. All opposed, say nay. Carried 7-3. Any other proposed changes? Mr. Algar,
I would move that at the beginning of the meeting, we add 1 additional minute of public comment for information pertinent to the county, but not on the agenda. So 3 minutes, and we could change it to 2 minutes agenda specific and 1 minute extra.
I would second the 3 minutes with 1 minute allowed for general comment.
And the reason I say that is that I think
can I get clarification? I misunderstood. So you want it to still be 3 minutes, but 2 minutes, but 1 minute of that is general?
No,
No.
we're adding 1 minute.
So you're,
That's not what
Can
I would have
can you
said.
clarify, I
yeah,
guess,
What would you?
clarify what
Two
change you're
more?
requesting?
yeah, I have add one additional minute pertinent to county business.
Look, can I had, because I had been thinking about this too. Members of the public, this is for the first agenda, and I apologize if I'm speaking out of turn. Members of the public may speak for up to 3 minutes on agenda-related topics or up to 1 minute on general topics of county concern. For agenda topics, speakers will inform the board chair which agenda item or items will be addressed. So they get their choice, either a 3 minute or a 1 minute. They got to declare if it's not on the agenda, or they have to declare what agenda item it is anyways. If it's not, they have to say it's not an agenda item. They only get 1 minute, and it may cost us 5 minutes of meeting.
All right, so that's a change you're requesting?
This is how I wrote it. Was that what you were thinking?
No, but I'm open to that.
All right, okay. That's what I was thinking.
So is that your motion or?
You want me, can you mind if I make that motion? Okay, I would make that motion then.
All right, is there support for that motion?
I'll support it.
Discussion, I think Commissioner Robbins, did you hand up?
Sitting here listening, what I'd like to say is, maybe consider is, I'm open to what both of you are talking about. But I don't want to get really confusing here for a chair and for us too, but go the 1 minute for general, whatever, and then the 3 for agenda. But put on our agenda, the chair would say, okay, the first thing up could be, I'm just throwing out there, is the 1 minute. So we don't have people coming up back and forth, you know, break it down, and that way we'll know at the meeting now, okay, we're opening up the 1 minute rule. You know, no one shows up, boom, we move on to the 3 minute, and that way we don't, you know, we broke it down, but we're gonna listen to both topics instead of just mumbling it all together.
I like that.
Your money?
Yeah, I just think that's gonna just create more problems. The whole reason we went to the 3 minutes is because of that. There things would happen at the beginning that had nothing to do with what we were having. And if we make our meetings so long, and I just think that we've got it down streamlined pretty well now. And people still have plenty of time to comment, especially on our agenda items. And I just think that we're just getting more and more complicated with our agenda. So I'm opposed to this.
Mr. Walter?
Yeah, I'm opposed to that too. I'd like to keep it agenda specific and go with our meeting and get our meeting over with. And if somebody wants to address something after that, in 5 minutes comments, that's the time to do it. Because otherwise everybody's gonna come up for 1 minute and talk for 2 or 3 anyway. Because, you know, we don't have anybody out there with a taser stopping us to talk and, you know, type thing. So people take advantage of us all the time with that 5 minute rule or 3 minute rule. And, you know, let's just keep it as it is. As we actually technically already approved and go forward. I can't support that motion.
All right, Commissioner Wessel?
I'm going to support the motion. I heard from constituents that they'd like to make a comment or raise a question or have influence on an agenda, but they don't want to come for the whole executive board meeting and not knowing how long that might last. So I think it's especially important that we allow that 1 minute to hear from our constituents. I support.
Any other discussion? Mr. Robbins?
I guess I would like to, what I suggested, maybe, you know, at least try it. Problem I see, and I'm guilty as anyone here, I mean, these people sat here, you know, wait 5 hours for a comment, and by the time it comes to that time, I'm packing my bag. I don't know how many people are even really listening to them that time. I think we owe it to them to give them 1 minute. Let's just try it. I mean, what do we have to lose? try it for 3 months and see how it works. Maybe no one will even show up for that 1 minute, but we don't know until we try.
Had a chance. But then I'd like to say something.
Oh, I guess I see both sides to this. I like the idea of a clean meeting, but I know we've had quite a few comments from, I mean, I've had people individually approach me as well, to Commissioner Wessel's point. Asking for at least some time in the meeting to just address any general topic. But I've always stated to those members that our phone, our email is always open. You can contact us any time of the week to get those questions answered the best we can. So I understand the point of trying it. I'm a little bit of toss-up right now. I like the idea of keeping things clean, but I think trying something new is always a positive thing as well. So yeah, I'm not exactly sure. I'm open to discussion, I guess, and having somebody convince me, I guess. Commissioner Algeier and then Commissioner Bunny.
The reason I say this, I used to come to these meetings. I used to be out there for years. And at the end of the meeting, I was usually the only one here, other than Mr. Wickowski. So, and I had things that I wanted to say to our board that I thought were important for our board. We are saying county specific. So I was totally for this change because we couldn't get to business, and that's still an issue. I like the word try it out. If it starts to get too much, we could do, well, I don't like 2 minutes of agenda, but that's why I'm bringing this up. And I'm very open to if it gets too hard or our meetings get too long, it gets changing. But I'd like the people to be able to speak.
Commissioner Bunny?
Yeah, I would say, why don't we just limit the commissioners to one comment on each subject? And our meetings will be over in an hour and a half, and then they can have their 5 minutes.
Amen.
I mean, that's all we have to do, really.
Yeah.
Just have come prepared, and not expound about things that aren't really on our agenda. And then make our decisions and let them have their comments with 5 minutes. And we'd be out of here before noon every time.
Commissioner Robbins?
I remember 5 years ago, when I sat here the first time, Commissioner Bunny was here, he was chair, Russell was here, Fogger was here. And I remember the first few months sitting here, like, what the heck did I get into? Because our public comments were 1.5 hours long before we even got to our meetings, but I think we fixed that. That's why I think, by going to 1 minute, we can try it, but don't, we can overrule it and go back to the old way, but let's just, we're here, let's remember, we're here for these people, not for us, but for them. If they want to speak, I think they're entitled to it.
All right. Any other discussion? All right, if not, all in favor of that change, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay.
Nay.
That's 4-3.
Who were my no's?
Commissioner Walter, Commissioner Bunny, and myself.
Okay, thank you very much.
Any other changes? Mr. Wessel?
I don't think we have a consent agenda for the executive board, but this reads that we do. And I think you should take that off.
Where it's mentioned.
On Article 6, order of business. Executive board agenda, item 1I.
Okay, say that again. Sorry. Lost.
So in the packet, it's page 11 or it's page 10. And it's I, consent agenda items before action items. page 10 or 11 of the packet, but it says I under executive board agenda. Sent items.
Oh, I see that, yeah.
It's also
That should be
addressed,
on there.
it's also addressed in Article 6, Item 7, talks about how that consent agenda can be created. And Commissioner West is correct, we've not done that, at least during my tenure. Might have been done in the past, but
So your motion is to remove consent agenda items from the executive board agenda.
That's correct. Support.
Moved and supported. Discussion,
I'm sorry, who was supporting?
Commissioner Bunting,
Okay, thank you.
discussion on that? Not all in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carried 7-0. Great catch. Any other changes? There be no further changes, I take a motion to adopt it. Supported by Commissioner Bunting. Discussion? Not all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Great 7-0. For order of procedure. Next up, we have approval of the 2026 meeting schedule. Lauren, did you want to address that at all, or does anybody have questions on that?
I think this is probably pretty straightforward. I don't think you need me to go through it in detail. We simply went through the calendar year, the agenda deadline, document collection deadline, and the meeting dates. So if you've all had a chance to take a look at it, if there's any errors that I made or things that need to be corrected, please let me know.
I would move to approve the,
Commissioner Bunting, hand up.
oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was just wondering about, in July, we're not gonna have the meeting until the 14th. That seems awfully late in the month. What is that?
Well,
It could just be that that was the second Tuesday of July happens to fall on the 14th, for the latest it could possibly fall.
It
Yeah.
does.
Yep.
Okay.
It does, yeah.
nice.
But if I did make an error on the dates, I'll make those corrections.
No,
Commissioner Elgar,
We move to approve the 2026 session schedule as presented.
supported by Commissioner Bunting, discussion? Not, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carried 7-0. Next, we got our updates from departments and agencies. You have an update on that, Lauren?
Yep. Okay, so I presented this a little bit differently to you this year than I did last January, and by leaving the schedule pretty open. On page 38 of your packet, you'll see the dates that are confirmed by departments for updates. I did send out a department head email and said, hey, if there are certain dates that work better for your schedule or for their annual reporting or how they work their department, let me know and we'll plug those in right away. But what I did on page 39 is pull all the other either outside agencies or folks that we've heard from in the last couple of years to give you, the Board of Commissioners, the chance to prioritize or give me more direction on who you would like to hear from. Obviously, there are some departments that we hear from every year, certain agencies that we contract with that are obligated to provide annual updates, and I'll continue to work on those. But I was hoping for some more direction from you as to who you would like to hear from.
Elgar?
Would we like to hear from Beta?
They have been on the list in the past, and I can certainly add them.
I think that's.
Campbell?
Honestly, our state representative and state senator, especially maybe during election year, I don't know if this is the right platform for them. So I don't care to hear from them this year, honestly.
They
My
still-
thoughts. Either one.
Commissioner Algar?
Since our state rep runs every other year, that means every other year we hear from them. I think that's appropriate.
That's just my thoughts.
We wouldn't hear from them a lot.
Any other?
We did have Representative Kofia and Mr. Demus on the schedule, but Betsy Kofia had brain surgery and had to cancel. So we did have them on the calendar for this, for 2025. And you did hear, well, the previous commission heard from both of them together in a joint presentation in 2024.
I think that's important. That's state business. That's our business.
Any other recommendations? Comments? Commissioner Wessel?
Well, yeah, in terms of state rep and state senator, I would favor hearing from them together as we have in the past. I think that gets some politics out of it. And they can collectively talk about things happening at the state that matter to us. But I'd also like to schedule each of the departments throughout the year. I think we need to hear from each of them. And I know we've got some of them here, but I would like a schedule that has each department or elected official making a report.
Okay.
Any other comments?
And just to be clear, with some of the department updates, that will also come with additional presentations. Like, for example, senior services will do a presentation in conjunction with Area Agency on Aging. And if preferable, like Drain Commission would likely do their presentation in conjunction with Leland Dam Authority. So it would appear as two. And there might be a couple that like Clerk and Circuit Court might prefer to present together if they so choose. Yeah, okay. So am I directed to reach out to Representative Kofia and Senator Demus?
What's the comments on the rest of the board on that?
Ty's got a good format if we did it that way. If they wanted to come address the county together, that'd be great. Individually, I think it would turn into a political event, you know, since they are in opposite parties. Together and have a civil conversation with us. Or up there, without, there shouldn't be any politics in it, that'd be great.
Any comments? Anybody object to that?
What about after the election?
6 or 1/2 dozen the other.
That's
It's forever. Politics last forever. It doesn't make any difference if it's before or after the election. Everybody's running for election every day.
Sorry, Commissioner.
Yeah, I'm not really interested in that.
Not really interested.
They're gonna be about the state. It doesn't affect us. I mean, it does, but not to the point of what we're doing here. We get plenty of presentations.
Actually, I think it does affect us because they vote on the money that we get and the programs that affect our people. So I think those updates are helpful and important. And I agree they should on them doing them together. We don't have to interject politics into it. They're representing us.
So, all right, Commissioner Robbins, I haven't heard from you.
Thanks, thinking back the last 4 years, 5 years, I've been, now I think I was on the board at that time. The only time I remember anyone showing up was 2 years ago, and I thought it was a great presentation. You saw bipartisan, you saw John DeMuth and Betsy sat there and talk about the people of the state. And I didn't see any politics, so I mean, I don't, you know, it was about a half-hour presentation and we moved on.
Sure. That's the consensus I'm seeing, because I don't have an issue with if they both come together to do that, so schedule them. I don't know if
Okay.
it matters, check with their schedule, I guess, to see, and, you know, maybe not one or the other, but if both of them can make one meeting. I don't know, I don't, that's what I sent an objection, Commissioner Bunny.
Yeah, and I like the idea of combining things, like the brownfield and the land bank, or whatever we can, where they work together. It'd be nice to have those, combined.
So for my direction, prioritize department and elected official updates. And then schedule anybody else I can from the list and beta.
That's what I'm hearing.
Okay.
One more reflection on that, it would be like our township saying that we shouldn't go and present and talk to them because we might be running for office. I think we have to trust each other to do our jobs.
One thing on
Last
that,
comment.
I just thought of it in the past, and I don't know if we want to enforce it or not, but I mean, I thought we had at one time, like, when we give a presentation, they had a certain timetable they had to kind of stick to, and I think we should, I want them to get their message across, but I think we need to address that right out of the chute, that, I'm just throwing out there, you got 20 minutes or whatever, get your facts out there. And if they have literature, we can read up on that, but they need to focus on their main points and not their whole program.
I think that wasn't it 15 minutes?
The message that I communicate with anybody presenting is 10 to 15 minutes max. I like to keep it 10 slides or fewer. And I remind folks, when they get here, hey, reminder, 10 to 15 minutes. Beyond that, I'm going to rely on the chair to direct that, or I'm not sure what to do beyond that. Let's bring it on home.
All right. I think you have good directive. Lauren.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
We typically do have a motion that just states to approve the schedule.
You wanna, it's kind of a moving schedule.
Yeah, it says, Leelanau County Board of Commissioners approve the 2027 schedule of monthly department updates to the Board of Commissioners.
I would make that motion.
Support. Supported discussion. Not all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carried 7-0.
Thank you.
All right, next up, we have commissioner appointments, the boards, commissions, committees. I will just read through the list. But there's literally hardly any changes in here, but it did make a couple. One note for the Northwest Regional Airport Authority, we had on the list that it was a citizen's appointment, but I'm presuming that we're switching back to a commissioner appointment. Did not hear back from the clerk on that, so I'm assuming we can just assume that. Because I know it was on the list like that, but we'll just assume it's a commissioner appointment, I guess, so. So I'll just start from the top, 911 advisory, by myself. 911 emergency management radio encryption, myself and Commissioner Bunnick. Area Agency on Aging of Northwest Michigan, Commissioner Algier. Bay Area Transportation Authority, Commissioner Algier. Leelanau District Health Department Board of Health, Commissioner Algier and Commissioner Walter. Leelanau District Health Department Environmental Health Board of DOA meets as necessary, Commissioner Walter. Brownfield Redevelopment, Commissioner Wessel. Community Corrections, Commissioner Robbins. Judicial Justice Detention Center Committee, Commissioner Walter. Land Bank, Commissioner Wessel. Leelanau County Family Coordinating Council, Commissioner Robbins. Materials Management, Commissioner Wessel. Networks Northwest and NMCA are both Commissioner Campbell. Northern Lakes Community Mental Health, Commissioner Wessel. And then Northwest Michigan Community Action Agency, Commissioner Algier. Northwest NRAA, which is the Airport Authority, Commissioner Robbins. Parks and Rec, Commissioner Campbell and Commissioner Walter.
Okay, hold on just one second.
Oh,
So
am I going too fast?
Yeah, that's okay. No, on the regional airport, I just want to make sure I got it. So it's Bunnick and Robbins?
Correct.
Okay, I don't think I heard Bunnick, but
Oh,
that's just.
I
me
didn't,
calling
I
back.
thought he was on there for a term.
He is, he
Yeah.
doesn't expire. yes.
Right,
That
so
was
it's not an
one.
expiring term, so that's why I didn't say that.
Okay,
Planning Commission, myself. Solid Waste Council, Commissioner Wessel. Substance Abuse Prevention Coalition, Commissioner Campbell. TTCI, Commissioner Robbins, TTCI, just a technical committee, I guess, our administrator. And then our standing committees later on, we can address that later.
Area agency. I went on that last year to stay. Did you mention that?
Yes,
I
it's
did.
2 years.
Okay.
Yep, oh, that's a 2-year term,
It's a
so,
2 years.
oh,
It's the
okay,
only-
so
that's
you're
the
fine.
only one. It's a
So
two-year term.
that's the only one that's a 2-year term, so technically,
Okay,
I wouldn't, we need to do that.
okay, thanks.
So unless there's objections, I would just need a motion to approve that.
So support.
Supported discussion,
I just might
Annabelle?
say that the Substance Abuse Prevention Coalition, I don't think they met a while, or I'm not getting any emails from them first meeting, so. just bring that up as a, you know, like,
How about the sun?
if I'm looking for one, yeah, but we have this
That's
on,
interesting.
but this is on our commissions, one of our commissions, and so.
Well, that's a commission that we don't go to.
What I'm trying to say is that we probably need to look into it if it's not gonna meet. So,
Something. If your administrator will look into that, just see, make sure he's, if they are meeting, make sure they have his contact, I guess. Know that that's happening. No eyes. All right, any other discussion on that? Not, all in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay.
Mr. Chair,
Motion carried 7-0.
before we leave that, I would like to have us figure out a way to be better informed about all of the agencies and committees and commissions that we're representing. And I don't know if the best way would be to send the administrator a monthly paragraph, but I think we need to be more informed about those agencies that we don't attend, but we're responsible for.
Thank you for bringing that up, because it slipped my mind, but I was gonna bring that up. I guess of all us commissioners here, I believe Commissioner Campbell is the only one that gives a report of any meetings in attendance, and I appreciate that. So one thing I would appreciate is at least quarterly, each of the commissioners here send a written report to the administrator or administrative assistant and have it on our packet where the public can review it, where it's just a general update of each committee or commission that you're a part of what's going on, just so the public knows, the board knows, and everything. So at least quarterly. If I don't see something quarterly, I will probably call you out. I just think it's,
call you up.
yeah, I'll try not to do it publicly, but I think it's important, you know, you're appointed to these, it's our duty, and just to give a report to the public and the board here of what we're up to. So I think be wise.
So I agree with that. Periodically, I'll mention something that I think is important in this meeting, because that's kind of been our format.
Well, yeah, and I'm not gonna.
Should we still do that?
I'm not, yeah, it doesn't have to be a written report. If you want to give a verbal report, I'm okay with that. You know, as long as it's some sort of report of commissioner committee that you're a part of, just, yeah, to show that you're attending the meetings. All right, next up on our agenda, we have standing committees, which I believe those are status quo, but I'll just label them all.
Do you need a motion for that, or is that all?
Yeah, there's that, do you want me to mention, do you have that?
Yeah, because
I'll just keep it
originally,
status quo,
last year we
so-
did them both, but this, what I did is I just separated it so that motion said, accept the committee assignments as assigned. And then this one will be accept the standing committee assignments as assigned. So this table will be reflected if you said status quo, if that's what the
Okay.
motion is.
That's, yeah, status quo, so I'll just need a motion. Commissioner Money?
Yeah, I just had under, you know, boards, commissions, committees and authorities where it says commissioner, and then we've got one for Mr. Dyer here. And I guess it shouldn't be under commissioners. That's the only thing it should be, I'm not saying he shouldn't be on that board or whatever he does, but I just don't see it as being under commissioners. I just say we should put it someplace else. I don't know where we would file it, but it should be filed someplace other than under commissioners.
If you would like, I can relocate this to my master spreadsheet where it's more citizen and general appointments.
Yeah,
Commissioners would like to do
Which
that.
board?
That's the TTCI technical committee.
Yeah.
Technical, so use
it on the maybe it should first say one, administrator.
and then it's technical.
Is it always
Is that-
is it person or is it the administrator?
May I come up?
Yeah,
I can,
well, so
comment on
I can
that.
speak on that a little bit. Last year, I appointed Administrator Dyer because I was told that typically it is always the administrator that sits on that. So that's why I did that, but.
And this is an inheritance from Richard Lewis, because this was a new committee, so they separated the TTCI into two. And it was felt that this was better suited for the administrator to sit on the technical side of this transportation committee.
Mr. Robbins?
I can clarify a little bit because I sit on that one. What it is, it's Grand Traverse County and the only two townships that's included in our county in it is part of your Bingham a little bit. Actually, I think maybe Mark's district and
Yeah.
part of Elmwood. And when I sit on it, there's the commissioners, one commissioner from Grand Traverse and myself representing Leelanau. But the rest of the board is either supervisors or the city manager, Deb Allen, sits on it. And it's your road commission, but as a rule, there's only two commissioners and the rest are all administrators, like supervisors or administrators.
Yeah.
So maybe somehow we can just remove that from the list and have it as part of it, maybe a job description even, or maybe not, I don't know.
I wouldn't have authority to amend a job
Right,
description,
no,
but it would be a very simple administrative thing to remove from this spreadsheet and place it onto the spreadsheet of my citizen appointments. And that would be more straightforward and not convolute the commissioner appointment sheet.
Perfect, if everybody's okay with that, Mr. Bunny?
Yeah, rather than putting a name of the person, I would think it would just say administrator. So who's ever the administrator has that position in there. I mean, maybe it's fine to put his name there, but in parentheses or.
Let me address that as well. That's actually something that I was going to discuss with you in the future as to whether or not that would really be more appropriately placed at the planning director, because the type of things that they deal with do relate to issues of planning. And I hadn't, since you raised this issue, I wasn't really prepared to talk about it, right now, but that is something that I was going to propose that you consider in the future, have that part of it. Either to say the administrator or in his absence, the planning director. So we try to work together on this kind of things.
The planning director is there at every meeting.
No,
Not at the,
not at this one.
or
At
excuse
what?
me, the
Not
technical-
at the one we're talking about.
Oh, not the one you're talking about? I'm sorry, I'm talking about Brownfield.
Is there objection to
Yeah,
that? To
because
just,
they're appointed to the Brownfield, planning directors on the Brownfield, as the
Right.
administrators also, that's part of the legislative appointments.
Yeah.
is there objection to just having the administrator and then in the absence have the planning director or vice versa on there? Is there objection to that?
Or administrator designee or whatever.
Right. Administrator, okay. Let's do that.
Thank you.
All right, so the standing committees, I just said is status quo, so I can take a motion to just. Somebody wants to make a motion? Funny,
So moved. Status quo and the standing committees.
okay, support,
Support.
supported by Commissioner Algar, discussion? Not, all in favor of that motion, say aye. Opposed, say nay. Motion carried 7-0. All right, strategic planning,
Take a break, Mr. Chair.
oh, wow. Well, that clock's not accurate.
No, but
Okay.
The longest
Yeah,
40 minutes of my life.
Yeah, we can take a quick 5
No,
break.
it's an hour behind.
Yeah.
What time is it?
Yeah,
It's 11 on that.
yeah.
Because we just
I
got
know,
here.
yeah, that's why I said.
Shouldn't have.
I think every year we have to change the
We don't need to. So actually, we should get to, okay, we're good. Yeah. Well, I.
Oh, there's just, oh, here I am. What are you doing? Nothing. I was looking for you.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, you gave me my heads up.
I know.
And I came.
What?
Oh, good. Sits in here.
Yeah, which Alan mentioned at the last meeting.
Thank you
For?
for that 1 minute.
Oh.
No, you mentioned it quite a while ago.
Yeah, last year I brought it up. I was already with that motion and Lowell Twin brought it up and I'm thinking, this is gonna work. And apparently they like what I had written and it turned out okay. Yeah. But, you know, some, I choose my words here lightly, but some folks feel that they need their entire time regardless. So,
That's me.
well, yeah, but that isn't where I was going. Where I was going is that they may choose to talk about the agenda item for 3 minutes rather than only have 1 minute to talk about a non-agenda item.
Go to holiday season? You
Yeah.
have that option.
Well, you get either or.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, either or. So whatever's prioritized, whatever's. Oh,
Record items. Stick around.
yeah, I always felt that. And I've been part of it before, where I've had something that I
Well,
wanted.
when I started coming, it used to be 10 minutes.
Yes.
Changed.
I think I had some more
changes to kind of.
Well, one of those things is how you.
So you need a balance of both sides.
We do.
You need a smooth running meeting, but 1 minute.
Ain't gonna hurt
Electric
anything.
shock at 60 seconds.
Well, the other thing is that people may bring things up that should be on the agenda. And there's no opportunity for them to do that unless they got it in with a commissioner. For example, play the backdoor thing, they can do that. They shouldn't have to play the backdoor thing. They should be able to come here and present something that requires attention, and then we should respond and give it the attention it needs.
Right, and you weren't. We're speaking to you, that's who we're supposed to address. But I want everybody in the room.
Sure.
And I want everybody, not many will do it, but on the meeting,
I'm always surprised how many people do, you know.
God.
Usually less than 100.
Went down.
Really? 150.
Well, it seems like, because I always look at it later.
No, I've always.
Murkowski's?
Get married.
Happy New Year. Yep. All right.
So we're the ones that travel. Kids need to, especially for kids. Yes, they wake up.
I don't like that. I mean, I don't, it's not like part of politics, but I just don't like it. Politics.
So sitting in line. You see
Okay, guys.
some Blackberry Bliss. It just looks so curious.
Campbell and Scott.
It says it's gonna seed my soul.
So what's your
preference? I don't know.
Don't tell my dad. Because it's all nice. Yeah, well, it's big difference. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Good to see you. Yeah. Sign it. Good to see you.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Well, Happy New Year to you.
I wonder what happened to the clock.
That's kind of a weird time to lose an hour, isn't it?
I know.
I was gonna say hi to Amy, but she's phone bound.
1 minute, so. Every minute counts.
Batteries, and they're not speaking. Check them.
Life goes on, Jim.
New Year.
That is a fact.
That is a fact. Did you see the ball up in Northport?
We didn't, my wife wasn't.
No,
I wanted to, and she was not feeling.
And they're hard to.
You would have made it though?
I would have gone, we were here. I would've
you
gone.
know.
God bless you then.
Usually
Yeah.
3 weeks.
That, no, I don't do the midnight. Not at all. I knew several couples when they'd always go out for New Year's, and they set an alarm clock at the dinner table that went off at 10. And then they'd all get up and say, Happy New Year, and then they'd go home.
That 10-year thing.
We actually stayed up.
And that's what.
Did you?
We don't,
It's.
but we stayed up.
Places, seems like.
Maybe it's the same way it always was in certain places, but they're just not as much celebrated, I don't think, as when we grew up. I mean, maybe I just don't see it, but been around some kids, I got a kid who's 25, and none of his, they just don't quite hoop it up.
No, it's, I've noticed that. Yeah, I don't know if that's bad.
Carbon monoxide. That's as well.
Well, if it wasn't getting replaced with screens, I'd say it wouldn't be a bad thing.
Yeah, there's that, there is that.
There's that.
Gotta find
They're not
the,
broken, they'll fix them. That's always.
Yeah.
But you don't want to assume you have it working. in
No,
the-
but that's what I'm saying. You might have to check.
Trying to find something.
If they work, it's fine.
And ran into an interview with, the DG's guy. What's his name? Asked me.
Hey. Is that what it looks like every year?
is what it was looked like last year.
Let's see.
They drop an anchor.
Did you hear that there was a fire? The fireworks were on top of the hotel and the ashes fell down on the awning and it was still burning the next morning.
I have not heard that.
Wow.
That's
But the building stood.
That's awful.
Building stood up.
That's Northport, isn't it? Huh?
It's gone too damn.
Yeah, it's because it was
Start
cold,
fire.
yeah.
All right, you ready? All right, we'll get back in session here.
First item on the agenda here is strategic planning. This is something that I requested on the agenda here, and I just wanted to get, I guess, commissioner thoughts, approval if possible. But from my understanding, there's never been a full strategic plan set forth for the county here. It's something I'd like to possibly pursue this year, if possible, and either that's getting an RFP for somebody to do a strategic plan for the county, but in essence, what I'd be looking for is through a strategic plan, we'd be gathering input from the public, employees, and the board in whole to get like a 5-year plan in place for this county. That this board can work off of. I just think it'd be wise to get a plan in place that gives direction to this board. We could go out for an RFP. I could also check with MSU. I know we partner with them to see if they can provide us something free of cost or much cheaper type of thing to do a plan like that, but it'd be obviously a couple-month process to do that, to put a plan in place to do something like that, or to gather all the input from the community, employees, and this board to adopt. But just throwing it out there for discussion. If you guys support me in doing that and getting an RFP to do that, or what your thoughts are on that. Michelle Gard.
I think it's an excellent idea. Rather than us just reacting to what comes up, that we actually move in a direction and plan for that. So thank you for that.
Mr. Walter, you have a comment?
So are we talking, you know, we know we're talking about buildings, facilities, strategic maintenance plans, stuff like that.
Correct, that the community, the employees want us, that this board needs to focus on. I think just a plan, in essence, a couple-year plan, up to 5-year plan in place. This board gets to focus on.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of, other than building maintenance plans, what we're planning for.
It could be, if depending on what the public requests, it could be initiatives or projects that the public wants this board to focus on rather than other things. It could be that, you know, it'd be just honing in on what the community wants this board to do type of thing.
So we're gonna send out a survey to.
No, you'd hire somebody to do that. They interview, from my understanding, they interview individuals directly, gather their input, put everything together from the public, employees, bring it to the board, and this is kind of what they've gathered from the community as the direction they want the board to go. That thing. Right?
Yeah, I guess I would like to see something like maybe from our facilities director on a strategic plan for the buildings and the parks and the things that he's involved in. I mean, that's really what we have. You know, that's what we're talking about, like the dam also, maybe what the dam authority is planning, you know. I don't know that we would do it ourselves, but have the committees or the things that are going on, if they would present to us or what they see in the next 5 years, and it give us a good idea of all the things that are going on. I mean, you know, because I think about a new roof on here, or you know, redoing something to the driveway. Those almost, that's all, you know, whether for, we've talked about a pole barn, a plan for that. And I mean, is that, I would think our facility director could give us something like that. You know, I don't know what else we would be. I mean, I don't want to plan new programs and new facilities unless it's the pole barn. I'm not sure where we would be headed with that.
And I understand that, but I'm looking more at a strategic plan that gathers input from the community. Type thing. Yeah, for projects or whatever that they feel like the board needs to focus on versus another thing. We just never have had a plan like that in place for this board. And maybe, you know, whether we hire somebody on to work with our facilities to come up with a plan to put the whole document together like that, I don't know. But I just like the authorization to at least pursue that and see what I can come up with. And either provide you guys with an RFP, or allow me to go out and pursue that, to come up with different proposals, I guess. Yeah, Val?
Well, from what I've seen of these, the best organized group wins. This is not, when you go out for a survey, it's not going door to door for a survey. It's asking the public to come to you with their ideas. And I have, to a T, always found that the organizations that are best at getting across their message, they're going to be the ones who we're going to hear from and who are going to dominate. It's sort of like asking employees, do you want to pay for healthcare? Of course they don't. I don't blame them. That's exactly what I would say. So I'm really not in favor of going out and putting forth a survey in the public. I agree and let me also just say, when we establish goals, some of those goals may entail hiring folks to help us accomplish them. If Jim doesn't feel or if he feels that's beyond his office, or that he would need help in that, I can understand that. But to me, this is kind of backwards. I think we should look at our goals and have a conversation about where we want to go. But like I said, I can just about tell you what those answers are going to be right now. I don't think we're going to get anything new. It's going to be housing. It's going to be, there might be some push for Parks and Rec. There'll be more social services, including childcare. I can just tell you that's what's going to come out of it. We're going to get anything new, but I'm on board.
Plans I've seen, that's not the case, but.
What did you see?
I saw Pentwater, for example. Pentwater did a strategic plan where they interviewed the public one-on-one. They didn't send a survey out.
Okay.
This individual hired, or interviewed people one-on-one, and then employees, public, and then brought that to the board, and they kind of strategized, okay, this is what we need to hone in on over the next 5 years, type of thing.
What I heard was survey.
I know, I don't know where that came from, so that was not my comment.
I'm not in favor of a big survey.
Right.
Let me just put it that way.
I don't see it that way. I could be wrong, but I just like the opportunity to pursue that, see what we come, if it is a survey, then, think of something else, I guess, but I just think it's important to have a plan in place. We haven't had that as a county. Any other comments on that? Commissioner Wessel or Commissioner Robbins, I have comments.
I think this is the direction you want to go with it. Is I want to contain it to the county, our employees, and what's going on in this building, not programs out there.
Correct.
How can we make this building what we're providing in the county, not the special programs, but like our departments are, is there a way that we can make it better? Or maybe we're doing fine. That's what we need to find. I don't think we feel I kind of agree. We have been in other county buildings, and at the front door, they will have from time to time, there'll be a couple people sitting at a table where you fill out, I know you don't like the word survey, but hey, tell us about, are we providing the services of this building that you'd like to see? I mean, I think if that's where you're headed, I'm with you.
100%. No, I'm not talking about getting into other programs. It's all about how we can improve operations here.
I would support it, except I would say that we got to be open to what we hear. And we've done surveys and we've done planning in advance, and we've talked to people and we surveyed staff, and if we don't get the answer we like, then we say it was a faulty planning process, it was a faulty survey, and so we got to decide what we want and collectively agree on what we want. And if it's just on facilities, I think that would be great to have facilities. This building's getting old. and we've got an empty jail, and we need some space, and we need a pole barn, so we certainly need that. But I would like it to go beyond that, but if we do, we need to design it so that we hear what people want to tell us, and then we gotta be willing to do something with what we hear. And don't ask questions if you don't want to hear it.
Any other thoughts? And from my understanding, this is something that Traverse City has done, Grand Traverse has done, they've all put a plan in place.
Yeah.
And that's something that we have not done as a county. That's something I want to pursue. If I have permission from this board, obviously, if I don't, another direction.
I say, yeah, okay. You know, it's not a decision we're making now, it's a discussion we're having. So pull the Pentwater plan and have us review it and see, is this a road we want to go down? Is this how we want to progress? You know, and bring it up at another meeting for discussion. But yeah. To me, strategic planning is budgets and buildings and stuff that affect the tax dollars of this community. And the things that we're fiduciaries of.
No,
and it's a very narrow channel.
I would agree.
All right, then, yeah, let's see what their plan is and see what, does
And
that make sense?
I can pull several different counties plans
That'd be fun,
together.
that'd be fun.
So you gotta
You
get a
know,
concept of what I'm looking at.
Yeah, well, when you say something like that, then it's like, you know, it's a 5-year plan, what types of things are we gonna invent in the next 5 years?
No.
So let's have a focus on it, so we can say, oh yeah, this is the focus we wanna look at. So, yeah.
Mr. Robbins?
I think the key to it is how you're gonna conduct it. I don't know how Pentwater did it, but I mean, the big hurdle that we have here is we don't have lobby traffic, you know, it's, you know, you put somebody out there at the table, I mean, they're gonna be like the big egg bear man waiting for somebody to come in and fill something out. So I don't know, whoever you approach to, or we approach as a board, I think they're gonna have to tell us, you know, how are they gonna get to the public to get the right response back.
That's what I'd like the opportunity to pursue, to see what I can bring forward here. These options.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't think we need a motion.
No, I'm not looking for, I'm just looking at, I just didn't want to do something without this board's approval, you know, to go out there and bring some options to you guys to look at. So,
I support that. I really misinterpreted, I guess, or I guess we didn't really have any information or anything written on this. And so when we started talking community surveys, I went a different direction than the conversation that needs to happen about our own facilities, the services that we offer to the public, how can we improve those types of things.
and based off of that, you know, if we pursue this, based off of that, we might get community input that some of the services we're providing, we're failing at, you know, and that's something where we can hone in on, this is what we need to improve, and that's what I'm looking for.
I would urge us to also consider long-term staffing needs, salary schedules, retention of staff, recruitment of staff. I see that as a major challenge in the future. We need a plan to address that.
All right, I will put something together and have it on a later agenda to give you guys some discussion. All right, thank you. With that, we're on to 2026 goals and discussion. This is something like, I know Commissioner Campbell requested this too, and I was on the agenda as well, but I'd like to just go through having each one of you state, I don't know, a couple goals that you have our administrator keep a record of them, and then I think what has been done in the past is that it comes back at a later meeting where we vote on our goals as, you know, as a board that we want to focus on for this year. So I don't know, we can go through the line, or if a couple of commissioners have theirs on their tongue, they can spit it out. Commissioner Robbins?
I'll start. I got a few here I want to touch on. I guess the first one I really gonna start off on, I think we really need to look at is our jail. And I'm not saying right out of the chute, I know people are listening, I'm not saying we're doing anything wrong, but we built a facility 20+ years ago, and it's starting to show some age. It was built with the purpose that it was going to be filled with 75 beds or 73 beds. And we need to, I think we really need to form a committees, but I think we need a committee of the judges, the prosecutor, law enforcement, one of us, and community corrections. I mean, where are we headed? I mean, over the years, we've seen sentencing guidelines have changed. We're housing less people over there. What, we have 3 to 6 inmates, maybe 10 at the most. That's not being productive for the taxpayers. What I'd like to see on that committee is, you know, the judges, you know, what do they predict in the future? Are they gonna be sentencing more people? Or are we looking at more community corrections? Prosecutor, let's look at our stats over the last 10 years. Has our crime gone up? We're, you know, there should be a pattern there. If it's gonna get worse, you know, or are we gonna need all that space? So that's a big thing there. I think we need to address, especially when it was addressed in the media that it's a high expense item in our last year's budget. The next thing is you know, we do need to start looking at a pole barn. You know, we've talked about it for years, but we need to work on that on buildings and ground. The next is HR. What I would like to see with HR is, a lot of people are not aware, but there's a resolution still hanging out there from December 2022 that was tabled and it's still sitting there. And we need to move on with that and get that moving forward. And along with HR too, you know, we're talking about employees. They're a great asset here, but I don't know if it's available anymore. But I know years ago, MSU used to put it on for employees around the county. And our employees have to be aware that you know, they represent us. They're the face of Leelanau County, and they know that how to deal with the public, and you know, and I think there's classes on that. It's like a 2-day school or 1-day school where they came and talked to the employees and said, hey, you know, how you react to the public is how millages and taxes, how people perceive you as a county. You know, every year a budget goes up, we hear complaints about it. Maybe our employees need to understand what our taxpayers are dealing with. I don't know if that school is still available, but I think it'd be a good asset to us as a county. Next thing, I guess, is us as a board. I look at, I was never aware of it until this past budget, our DOC budget's over $1 million. Now I realize it's $1 million, but the transparency isn't really what, it needs to be broken down so the public understands that. And I guess I look at it, us as a board member, I mean, we're asking them during budget for departments to take cuts. But do we ever look at our own budget? Have we ever said, hey, we're going to make some cuts and some changes here? I think we need to address that too. And I guess with that, I'm going to quit right there.
I have a question. What was the HR resolution?
Yeah.
The controls were supposed to be turned over to HR, all the records and everything,
Okay,
and passwords and what have you.
okay. Thank you.
All right, Commissioner Walter?
Well, like, you know, Commissioner Robbins hit on most of my concerns. The jail is a question, you know. When we built it, you know, the consensus was with the board at that time was that, you know, this would be available to rent those beds out and use some of that revenue to offset the cost of our own staff, because the cost of the county is the same whether I've got 30 inmates in it or 70. Because the cost is our cost, the cost of the officers. So if we've got 40 beds rented out, they're paying for themselves, the food and stuff and the operations of the thing. So if we're gonna fund it, everything's open up, power's on everywhere, lights are all on. You know, whether there's 30 guys in there or 7. And I have the same amount of officers, whether there's 30 guys, and whether there's 3 or there's 70, I have the same amount of officers. So that's all it costs, it's all a drain. We should be running that more efficiently, and and it's not our purview, but I mean, that's one of my concerns. It is a tremendous drain on our taxes. And if we're going to not do that, then we should, look at options like, okay, we're gonna close this, half of these cells off and use them for something else and cut staff. And God help us that, I'll be hearing about that in 10 minutes. But if we're gonna do it and we're spending the money, we should be running it efficiently. If we're not running it efficiently, that's a conversation that we have to have with the sheriff and the jail administrator. But those are things that we need to address because it's a tremendous draw on taxpayer dollars.
Anything else?
No, elephant's out of the closet.
Money?
Yeah, I guess I'm more concerned with the facilities, and our budget. I mean, we've got to look at the radios that they're talking $1 million for those. I do want to see the tower, move to the new tower. Like Rick said, I'm concerned about the boats, and other things we have. We need a pole barn to put those in. We've got our dam repairs, which they're talking about is, could be up to $500,000. I am hoping that the voucher system, we don't have a lot of control over that, but I hope that gets instituted, and is funded by the early childhood. And I would say for the jail that we do have to look at the Grand Rivers Band is, purchasing seven cells every day for the year. That it was designed to have the maximum size for 3 people to run. And whether we had it for 10 people or we had it for 70 people, it's going to take 3 people to run it. So that cost is steady, whether we close down half of it or not, it's still going to have the same amount of people running it. So maybe they can be a little more efficient. I just think we've got to keep it up. We just replaced all the locks. I mean, so we really are going to have to be looking at, we talked about the rugs here that have to be replaced. I mean, to me, those are the kinds of things that we need to be planning for, because it is the buildings are going to be expensive to keep up. Those are my.
Mr. Wassel?
Yeah, I've had several of those on my list. I it have immediate infrastructure, and it includes the carpeting, and it includes the roof, and all the stuff we need to do to maintain. I'm concerned about technology security. I think we won't know we have a problem until we have a problem, and I think we need to have a technology audit that's above and beyond what we've had up to this point. I've had staff retention, salary study, recruitment on the list. I think that's going to be something that we need. We've talked every year, and we always talk ourselves out of doing a salary study. We always postpone salary increases and salary adjustments. We just pretty much do whatever we've done, and I think we need to take a look at that. I haven't heard you mention the software for the accounting yet, but I think that's in the works, and we need to make sure that happens. I had HR full implementation on my list. And the last one, and this board does not agree, and we've had lots of debates about it, but there is a role for the county in housing, and we need to figure that out. And we need to work with our community partners, and we can do that if this board would just let us get our heads together and do that.
Yeah, I agree with that conversation on the jail. I'm not sure where that leads, but you gotta have a conversation and see if there are openings. I would like to see, and I know Commissioner Dyer has been working in this direction, a budget procedure and schedule that we can follow every year. I know we get reports, financial reports at every meeting, and I still don't have a feel for how we're doing financially, so it's nice having Kathy here, and that's why I asked those types of questions. And I just think we need to ask more of those questions, just so that we can feel as a county where we're at, and that's probably me not knowing. I think this building needs, I think it needs, I don't want to say word makeover, but it's old. And I think we need to look at it as far as an overall design, as far as everything from where we post our meetings to to what's outside of offices. I just think it wouldn't take much to put some makeup on this building and have it look spanking brand new again, because our maintenance has been good on it. It just, that's what happens after whatever 16 or 13, 14 years. You just look at color, you look at things. This is my wife speaking, I know, but but she did not give me that idea, including clocks too. I'd like to see more communication among commissioners. We can't violate the Open Meetings Act. That is not at all what I'm advocating, but I'm advocating such as if the chair and the vice chair have a conversation about something that that is pertinent to the county, put together a little report, send it out to us. And then when we come to the meetings, or it may not even be something that comes up at the meetings. I'd like to see a regular report from our administrator, and I would also like to see that report open to the public, so that when they pick up an agenda, they're on the same page as us. So all that goes under communication. So I just like to see better communication. And the thing I've been pushing, but takes a while, and Jim's good at this. We're working on one policy. And if you look at our policies, they all need looking over. We have a county nonprofit policy that is excellent. I like it, but it's buried and no one follows it. It just requires nonprofits to send us meeting minutes to ensure that they're meeting regularly, to ensure that they're in good standing, or documents to show that they're in good standing with the state of Michigan. I like that. That's not the only policy. I just bring that out because it's so forgotten. We have a budget policy that says that we're supposed to keep a certain amount of money in our basically our rainy day fund. And honestly, no one's, that's been forgotten also. So we need to look over on our policies. So when we had the snow days, we have a policy to snow day. We have a policy for snow days. And we ended up with some folks working, some other folks working, and confusion as to who gets paid. And I don't know if it's confusion or anyways. You just need to make sure everyone leaves those types of decisions feeling that they were fairly compensated. So anyways, follow our policies, and just as important, we need to look them over. And if they don't work, they don't work. So that's a lot of work. That's what.
Cheryl.
We've been talking about a salary study for years. And I think it would be appropriate. It's needed. Housing affects every single one of us. There are ways that we can play a role. Sometimes they're not very big. We have to maximize what we can do. The jail, all that empty space, that's an expensive issue, but there's a lot of space there. It could be developed into something else, and we would have a jail that's appropriate for our needs. Grand Traverse is going to build their own jail. So we're gonna have even fewer people coming. It's gonna, and it costs our citizens a lot of money. The software thing, I hope we're progressing on that. We've talked about that for a long time. It needs to be done. I agree that we need to complete our transition with the HR department. So does that mean it's a department? She's a department head. I think we need to finish that walk. And a grant writer. That could be done so we're not paying a salary, but it's someone who would be paid for the work if the grant is received. But I remember going to the NMCA, Northern Michigan Community. No,
Networks Northwest, basically?
no,
Is
the
that
one
what you're
in
saying?
Ross County.
Oh, the Northern Michigan Counties Association?
Yeah, I've already forgotten. The county around Mount Pleasant, he stood up, he said, we made $2 million as a result of a grant. It makes sense. It doesn't need to cost us any money, but there is money out there and we could access it for some of these projects we're talking about. We've talked about a grant writer for years as well. I'd sure like to see us actively looking for someone who's willing and able to do that work. Yes, that's it.
Wow, there's a lot of, I get covered, but I feel like there's a lot here I could piggyback off of, but I guess a couple of the ones I had written down was, I feel like the most important one is that we need to, and how this board helps that or whatever, is a fully staffed finance department. Whether that's through training, better software, technology, or whatever, to make sure they have the resources they need to be fully staffed and running. I think is what this board needs to support them in whatever they can to make sure that that's attainable and continues to be attainable. The other one, Commissioner Campbell mentioned it too, but it was one thing top of my mind was policy review. And I think starting with financials, I think we need to go through all of our policies and just update them. Kind of what you said, just there's some that are so outdated we don't even abide by it, some that we abide by that have no clue we're violating them, all types of stuff. So they just need to be, I think, a complete overhaul on a lot of them. And I don't know, is that something we just focus on one on each agenda item and just slowly start making our way through? I don't know, but that's something that I think, yeah, we definitely need to focus on. The other one I have was strategic planning, because I think that's why I brought it up earlier. I think it's extremely important that we get a plan together, because with that, we could maybe accomplish a lot of what was mentioned even here today with a plan like that. So it would tell the community, we can find out from the community which one we need to focus on type of thing, what's viable to them and what's most important. So and then, you know, obviously a lot of it's gonna deal with our budget as we go and we start that process later this year. Is just more budget projections as we go into the coming years, so we know what we can actually budget for in the coming years instead of just year to year. So I think we need to plan better on that too, as far as projections go, so we know what's coming down the road instead of just waiting until last minute to budget something. So I think we can do a better job on that. But those are some of my main items. I don't know, our administrator, were you able to keep up with everything, or?
I was, what I'll do is prepare a list of all the things we discussed. What I would propose that I do is just prepare it without regard to who made the suggestion, just a list from top to bottom, and I'll do it alphabetically, so that there doesn't appear to be any preference for one or the other. And then I think what you ought to do is to we'll get that out to you right away, but then start prioritizing them in your mind, and then have an agenda item to discuss them. And not just which ones you want to attack, but how you want to do it. What things you want to do. There's a lot of very broad generalizations in these, and that's good. That's where you start. But then get to specifics. How are you going to do some of the things that you talked about? Not just what you want to do, but how do you want to do it? And then that gives a lot of direction to me as the administrator, and then, the staff that works with. So put that up to you right away.
Okay. Questions on those? Appreciate everybody's feedback and comment on that. With that, we'll move on to our final public comment. Mr. White.
Good morning, Board of Commissioners. It's good to see you. Hope you had a happy new year, good holiday season. Last time I was here, I had a specific agenda of asking some questions that I'd like to have answered. During that meeting, Commissioner Wessel graciously agreed to answer those questions. Unfortunately, subsequent to that meeting, we were unable to come to an agreed upon meeting place and time and format for that meeting. So I came and asked this board through a written request to answer those same questions. Subsequent to that, I got at least 3 responses saying that this board had no responsibility for those questions and issues, so they weren't going to reply. They referenced me to the Suttons Bay School District. Okay. I strongly disagree with that point of view. So today I'm going to tell you why I disagree and what are the questions are that I'm still looking for answers from this board in reference to. First of all, it's all about the Suttons Bay School District land sale. And that land sale was approved by BOC appointees and at least 1 employee. And the problem is that deal is not a service to the taxpayers of this county. So what I want to know is, and this SBSD cannot answer this question, does this board support that action? Do you support that deal? Second, superintendent of the Suttons Bay School District said he approved a below market sale because Peninsula Housing had agreed to do an affordable housing project. The treasurer indicated to me personally that he supported it because the county supports affordable housing projects. Is that true? The Suttons Bay School District can't answer that question. I think that is something that this board should answer. An emergency was alleged as part of the process of this deal going down, that was part of the reason they needed to sell the land immediately. But subsequently, that was disputed by the chairman of the Suttons Bay School District. Your appointees and your employee were apparently given false information. So I just want to know if the information was intentionally false, a misunderstanding, but I think that you should all know whether or not that was a fact and why it was given out as information that was true and it was not. Do you approve of the county land bank holding title with Peninsula Housing and undisclosed private investors? This is public money and it should be transparent. I don't think it's appropriate for undisclosed private investors to be receiving public money without being identified. I'd like to know if the Board of Commissioners agrees with that position or not. Does this board think that the county administrator had a conflict of interest while serving on the Peninsula Housing Board while voting on this sale? Why or why not? Once again, Suttons Bay School District can't answer that question. He's your employee. I think you should answer the question for the public's benefit. Peninsula Housing is looking for multiple tax breaks that will impact future county revenue. Does this Board of Commissioners support affordable housing on that basis? How many of these tax breaks are you willing to support? And if so, is there a dollar limit to them? We're talking thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars over the next several years. Do you support affordable housing as it is defined by the federal government? Do you even know what that definition is? Are you aware of other affordable housing projects that are being proposed in Leelanau County where they're located? Peninsula Housing says it wants to put between 38 and 40 houses on the Suttons Bay school land. I was told 38 to 40 was the plan. But when I Googled it, Google says it's going to be somewhere around 75 houses on that land. Does the BOC have any interest in that? The county land bank is involved, so it seems like a county issue to me. Peninsula Housing can resell the land at each time based on the contract your employee improved. Does this BOC endorse the provision which allows the county, that keeps the county from sharing in any profit from the sale of that land? The county land bank is nominally a co-owner, so why aren't we, as a county, going to be reimbursed? What supervisory role does this BOC believe it should play vis-a-vis their appointees and employees who are on various boards, commissions, and agencies? Do you feel like you have supervisory responsibility for those people? And finally, do you know if this county has a housing shortage? Do you know as a definition that is being used by Up North Housing in terms of telling you that there is one? And if you do, can you tell us what that number is? Can you tell us how many housing units we are short and how you came up with that number? I'll look forward to getting the answers eventually. Have a great day.
Any other public comment? Mr. Mikowski?
Good morning yet. No, it's just noon, right? So good noon time. The prior speaker has some very interesting and I believe valid questions that this commission, if it's a participant in the process that he has spoken about, needs to respond to intelligently and properly to the taxpayers. Avoiding that puts you in a very sensitive position as to your integrity and your purpose, because the housing issue is a non-46.11 MCL 46.11. It is a non-46.11 item for county commissioners. Regarding strategic planning, we have had many hours of strategic planning over our 30 years in the private sector. So we have enjoyed a lot of that and learned about it. And there's a process. However, we as taxpayers are very concerned that the focus is on strategic planning based on what all you want. The taxpayer in this discussion was only mentioned once. One commission mentioned the word taxpayer during this whole discussion of goals and objectives. It's fascinating to see how important the taxpayer isn't. We'll have much more to say on this and perhaps send you an email regarding our observations from this meeting. This is a very good discussion for you commissioners to have. Lay it all on the table and bring it out. But we find it interesting that most of the items are of personal nature. We want to make this, we want to make that, we want to do this. Every commissioner has their thing, and the taxpayer seems to be the last one because we can always tax the hell out of them. Thank you.
Any other public comment?
Swayzer.
Bill Wiesner, Elmwood Township, and Mr. Yoder, if you could pass, I've got one for all 9 people up there. And I want to thank the board, all 3 Democrats, and Mr. Campbell for allowing that 1 minute at the beginning for whatever people have on their mind that addresses what this county should be hearing. So thank you very much for that. And thank you for the clerks, every clerk in Michigan again, for voting against this ranked choice voting. This handout is simply a transcript. I'm going to play it here. But one mistake, that first diagram on page 2 should be percentages. 35% for the first person, 41 for this middle guy. He started with the highest, but after the count, he was the lowest. And the lady on the right, who was the lowest, she became the highest. So just turn on the tape to listen to.
Inactive queue. No, no, G5 was Q0, Q5.
Columbia.
Incredible. So here's the clip. What's the clip of?
The clip
Can you
is
read
something
along
that
on the
higher pay grades than mine would like the world to see, to focus on something that's being revealed in Georgia. It's just 3 minutes, but here it is. Very intense.
Right now, dozens of people are hand counting ballots in the race for DeKalb County Commission District 2 after a candidate discovered a problem in the electronic tally.
May 24th, DeKalb County, Georgia. Voters went to the polls to vote on the local county commissioner race in District 2 between Lauren Alexander, Marshall Orson, and Michelle Longspears. The end result from the Dominion machine showed Lauren Alexander received 34.67% of the vote, Marshall Orson receiving 41.35% of the vote, and Michelle Longspears receiving 23.98% of the vote. In Georgia, if one candidate doesn't get above 50% of the vote total, a runoff election is automatically held between the two top candidates, meaning Michelle Longspears was cut out of the race. But Michelle Longspears felt odd about the numbers, so she visited different precincts to double check the tallies. And guess what? She noticed that in some precincts she didn't receive a single vote. But how is that possible that a candidate with 24% of the vote total finds precincts where she didn't receive a single vote? While statistically alarming, the real surprise came when she realized there was not one vote cast for her in her own precinct, the same one where she and her husband voted for herself. Spears immediately demanded a hand recount of the results and got one. On June 1st, the results were released, and the difference between the Dominion machine count and the hand count was shocking. After the hand count, Lauren Alexander gained 355 votes. Orson lost 1,298 votes, and Spears actually gained 3,620 votes, making her the new runoff candidate. And here's the best part. When you add them all up, the hand count shows 2,810 votes more than the Dominion machines reported on the 24th. This is huge. In a small county commissioner's race with 15,500 votes total, the Dominion machine tally is short by nearly 3,000 votes. What does that say about the other races that were conducted on these very same machines? This is proof that the machines cannot be trusted. If Spears had not sounded the alarm, no one would have ever known.
So the good news is Trump's getting ready to release major information. He already is. And folks want this to be, so this is an important video.
Yeah, it's real important. What it shows is a Democrat in 2022, a very odd event occurred that caused there to be a detailed hand recount, which they usually have ways of deflecting. And what it showed was the only thing odd about that was she discovered that there were a bunch of precincts where she didn't get a vote. And then she checked her own precinct and she didn't, but she knew she and her husband had voted for her and they didn't get a vote. So that got her to, and it turns out that she's 20% of the vote had been stolen. So that's what and we have no reason not to think that's going on everywhere. It's only the only thing unique about that is that something happened that kind of triggered the correct investigation. So that's happening everywhere.
So what do you make of it coming out 300 and whatever, 70,000 votes, 200 and something thousand votes?
I think it's typically the iceberg.
But that's exactly what Trump and you said 5 years ago was in Maricopa and you know also in Atlanta, Georgia. Yeah,
Atlanta.
It's all come out. I mean, wow.
Yeah, we had.
Biden only won about 11,000 votes there.
Can I?
He's referring to Fulton County. There were 315,000 illegal votes. They didn't sign the tapes at all. They only won by 11,000 votes. Out of time, but we need to get rid of the machines just like we got rid of ranked choice voting. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I am here to talk on two issues. One I wasn't planning to, but and unfortunately, Mr. White has left the premises. But his continued slanderous attacks and misinformation is frustrating, and I don't believe it's the county board's issue. This is now a local issue. And the reason behind that is the land bank did partner with Peninsula Housing. Peninsula Housing was funded by private equity. Nobody has received or spent taxpayer dollars. So land bank has never issued a check for the purchase, the acquisition of this particular piece of property, and we don't intend to. The envelope that we put this in was a collaborative partnership between the two of us, the Land Bank Board and Peninsula Housing, so that they could afford to allow the school to maintain the use of the premises for 3 years, which in time they were going to change their fields, their infrastructure to accommodate their new footprint. If Peninsula Housing had to pay taxes on top of that, it would be a loss leader. Leelanau County Land Bank saw an opportunity to help them move forward. But as the misinformation is, the school property was never taxed. And coming onto the roll with the Leelanau County Land Bank's ownership, it is still not taxed, and it will not be taxed until it goes into private ownership. At such time, the locals will have approved a planned unit development, which will go through a public hearing. If that's approved, they will proceed. That is on Peninsula Housing. We gave them a 3-year window to get that completed. At such time, if it's not completed, the property, from the land bank's perspective, is no longer of interest. So that is my understanding of the current situation. How the school board justifies the sale of the property, I'm not going to question. I don't know. I wasn't there. But the opportunity came before us, and the land bank voted, I believe, unanimously to engage. And corporate counsel didn't charge us because they were on retainer to negotiate the county's best interest in that contract and in that agreement. And we just proceeded forward. Secondly, I'm coming back to you with the comments I left you with last week in regards to the drainage districts. As a concerned taxpayer, I have done a little research, and I provided some of you with language that small communities have allotted the road commission to maintain the drainage districts. My concern is currently we have engaged with and maintained an engagement with a certain engineering firm for the drainage districts that is upselling every project. Additionally, these projects are going on for multiple years. So there's multiple billings, and it is driving the costs up substantially. I'm concerned that we don't have an advocate for the citizen working in the capacity to understand what this engineer is actually doing. But I can tell you that other engineers in this community are saying that private property issues are being pushed into drainage districts. HOA issues are being pushed into drainage districts. Lake Bluffs, for example, should have never been a drainage district. There are multiple other examples throughout this community. If you ask working engineers on their perception of it, it is alarming that they all say that this should have been addressed by a firm hand by a soil conservation, not by a drainage district. Thank you.
Any other public comment? All right, with that, we'll move on to commissioner comments.
I want to thank our treasurer because we are getting a lot of our residents asking for help and questioning, so that has to be looked
Russell?
I echo that and I think we have that planned for executive committee agenda item to bring in the drain commissioner to have some discussion. I think that's how we left it the last time from that. I think that'd be an important discussion. I also want to respond, and Mr. White's gone, but I did reach out to Mr. White to arrange that meeting. A meeting date was set. He was available. I was available. He then wanted to turn that into an open meeting and invite the general public, and I didn't feel like I was authorized to do that.
Commissioner comments, Commissioner Robbins?
I'd like to, I know it's closing comment, but I'd like to start because it's a new year. Look down the table here, and I see 6 other commissioners. I see a lot of talent, I see strong points, I see weak points. But together with 7 of us, we can be a strong point. And what I'd like to see us work forward to in 26 is, we can argue and duke it out all we want on a motion, and whether it's 4-3, 5-2, whatever, but when it passes, I think it's time that we all work at 7 to try to make that motion work. We all have talent, we can do it. Instead of fighting everything, and when it passes, the gloves come off and we need to work as a team. Because that's when our community can do a benefit.
Well,
I was very surprised at the vice chairman vote. And I want to welcome Mr. Walter, and I also want to thank you, Ty, because I know you've been chair for 3 years and vice chair in the past year. And I know and you would concur, there's a lot more work than pay involved with being the chair. And I think you're an acting vice chair, and I appreciate what you've done. I look forward to working with Mr. Walter.
any other commissioner comments? All right. Well, happy new year, and I look forward to working with everybody over the next year, and together we'll get everything accomplished and move forward. So appreciate everybody's time today. And,